no shoulding.
Oh, that is the biggest swear word. It's so full of judgment. Oh, I hate that word. As soon as you should on somebody, you tell somebody, oh, you should do this, or maybe you should downsize, or maybe you should. It's laced with judgment, and it puts you in a different position from somebody else, and it doesn't really allow them to fully explore what it is they need to do. So instead, if you do have something that you want to share with somebody financially, what might work is if you say, here's what worked in my experience, and you share from that perspective. That also will really help you learn and grow.
I think when you were upstairs, I hope you told Mom that. No more should. Like Joe and OG should get out of my basement. Do not should on us.
That's right.
Please. No, we belong here.
From Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and I think most of us don't tell the people who are on our air quote board of directors that they're on our board. Joe, I know I'm pretty much the chairman of your board, but you've never once told me that I'm on your board of directors.
You have any words, coach, for the team?
Rah, rah, ree. Kick him in the knee. Rah, rah, rass. Kick him in the other knee.
Wow, he has never coached a team in his life.
Go out there and bite him in the kneecaps.
We just got to go out there and play our game, and stick to the fundamentals and just do what we do best. Just focus.
If we score more touchdowns than the other team, we will win, kids. We will win. Let's talk about how we're misusing credit in America.
First of all, people think credit is money. Start there. It's not. The most dangerous thing in my wallet today, Joe, is my American Express Black Card. Because this thing here, and it's sexy, and it looks nice, and it's pretty, there's no limit on it. But that's not even a credit card. This is a charge card, which means in 30 days, I gotta pay the whole balance. A lot of people get in trouble. You start seeing celebrities in their bankruptcies and people who won the lottery, whatever. You see this credit card stuff because they thought this was an extension of their wallet. It's not meant to be an extension on your annual compensation.
Hey there, Stackers. Welcome to a live recording of the Stacky Benjamin Show, a special United States Independence Day episode. And we are going to get our contributors on here. So this is going to go live in 2 days. One gentleman on the screen is going to have his hands full, Mr. Steve Stewart. as soon as we get done with this, he's going to be furiously putting it together. So Steve will know what to keep and what to cut out because he's going to be on today's show. But
so the magic word today is cut that out, Steve.
That's right.
Use it all you want.
Steve, fix it in post.
Fix it in post.
So we will introduce everyone else on this call here in just a moment. Feel free in the chat to hang out and say hello and be a part of the recording. I'll try to involve you as much as we're able. But let's talk about starting a money revolution, shall we, guys? All right. Doug, you ready to kick this thing off?
Wait, absolutely. Hit record, Joe.
Steve?
Wait, can you check your mic real quick, Joe? Just scratch it.
Second.
Yeah, I thought he sounded a little echoey.
Yeah, it was fine earlier.
It says mute. You can mute when recording, but you can't switch mics.
All right, we're done. Just don't hit your desk. That's okay. I can fix it in post.
No, we can't. Well, the problem is we can't. I got to get the. How do I get the microphone?
You can't switch it during the recording, I don't think. Yeah, you can only mute. Sorry, it was working fine earlier. I don't know what's going on. You're muted now.
Sounds so much better.
See, I cause more problems than I solve.
I seriously haven't done anything.
Huh.
I didn't do anything. Do we stop and start over?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Is it though?
Well, if you can start and stop over, does it keep the YouTube stream going?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Let's ask.
These people
let's
love
ask
us.
the boss,
They'll come
Tina.
back.
Because I think if you start a new one, it's not going to go to the same URL. Dang it. I thought we had it.
You know, I'm wondering if maybe I can leave and come back. Can I leave and come back and everybody else stays on?
Try it.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely try that. All right, here we go.
I think it's going to work. It's going to work, guys.
Look at that.
Yes.
How much more the picture improved too.
Yes, it did. You all look so beautiful. Yeah.
With Steve here, it feels a little bit like when you were a kid and the principal would come and sit in your classroom.
You got to be on your best behavior.
I mean, Steve is absolutely the overlord that nobody really knows about. And when you were a kid, you thought you were in trouble. Like the principal was there to watch your behavior. You didn't realize your teacher was sweating bricks the whole time.
That's right.
Yeah. So Joe's got to be nervous right now.
Not us, Joe.
Is that better?
Yep, that's the one. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
All good.
Thank goodness we got Steve on today's episode. So, man, saying hello to, well, we'll say hello to all you guys when we're live. All right. Thanks for hanging out. Doug, you ready to start this thing?
I am. Hit record.
I think we're recording.
We are recording.
I think it was already.
Okay. Cool. I wish somebody told me. I wouldn't have said all the stupid stuff. Hey, Joe, it's summer blockbuster movie season, right? I mean, I know you're into movies. You're probably going to go to a couple of them. We got F1. We got, what is it? Thunderbolts is coming. The Surfer's coming out. Check this out. When will you finally declare your financial independence? Well, hopefully right now, because live from the basement of the YouTube headquarters, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and this Independence Day, let's start a revolution. Who's with me? Today, we're talking about how to burn down the barriers of debt, overthrow bad planning, and start anew. But that's not all. Of course, we'd never build a newer and better financial plan that didn't include our awesome Friday trivia competition. And now, here's a guy who's lighting the lantern and shouting, "The savings are coming! The savings are coming!" It's Joe Saul-Sehy.
Hey there, stackers, and happy Friday to you. If you're in the United States, happy Independence Day. If you're anywhere else, happy Friday. We do have a special show for you today because we are celebrating money revolutions, and we got a few revolutionaries here with us. So sit back and relax because we're about to have not a lot of tips per minute, but a lot of fun conversation about great money topics. And so our first revolutionary He's the guy that doesn't throw tea in the harbor, but he will toss out your tired old money habits. Mr. Jesse Cramer's here. How are you, man?
Doing well. I wasn't sure if that was going to be my intro or not, but yeah, big tea party fan. Sometimes just me and my dolls, sometimes on a boat, but either way, happy to be here.
Yeah, sometimes you and your dolls, sometimes on a boat. But does that have to be either or? You could have your dolls on the boat.
That's special occasions, but that might be this weekend. That might be July 4th weekend. It's that special.
Fantastic. And guess who else we got with us, Jesse?
Who else?
We have a woman from Detroit, Michigan. She says, down with tyranny and down with monthly banking fees.
That's right.
My friend Money Chat's Dorethia Kelly's back. How are you?
Hey, so happy to be here.
It has been too long. It's been far too long. I know. How have you been?
I have been amazing.
You've been mastering TikTok lately. You've been all over
TikTok.
Yes,
I am mastering TikTok all over it. Yes.
So we find you at Dorethia Kelly or at Money Chat on TikTok?
I am Dorethia on all things social media. Yes.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to link to it in the show notes, everybody, because you want to follow Dorethia Kelly.
Yes.
Money Chats, though, Dorethia, super important when you're trying to, quote, overthrow your money situation and start a revolution.
Absolutely, because what you don't talk about, you don't do, right?
Gotta say it out loud.
And it's not just about what you're saying; it's about the strategies that you're putting behind it. So we can all make up stuff and say anything, right? There's no revolution in that. The revolution is in the action that you take behind what you're saying and your goals. So absolutely.
Well, guess what? We got a guy for the revolution today with us, Dorethia. You know who else is here?
Who is it?
It is a guy who's crossing the Delaware debt to plant the flag of freedom on your money mountain. He's on every single episode, but you rarely hear him on the mic, and he is a big part of every episode. Steve Stewart is here. How are you, man?
Hey, long time listener. I was listening to the Stacking Benjamin show before it was the Stacking Benjamin show. Long time listener.
Well, and what's funny, brother, is that we were listening to your awesome show, Money Plan SOS, before Stacking Benjamins.
That was fun. We got to meet in FinCon in 2012. You actually tackled me at the elevator. I think it was just before I went up to my hotel room, and I had no idea who you were. And it's been a brotherhood ever since. You're my type of guy. I've
been just
stalking.
A Steve stalker since the very beginning.
He found out how you were. He found out who you were after he pressed charges.
There it is. Like, oh, never mind.
Yes. And for people who are new to the Stacking Benjamins universe, Steve has been editing the Stacking Benjamin show since near the very beginning. I did it myself for a while, Steve, and then you took over. And by the way, Steve didn't have any gray hair before he started working with us.
This is relatively new, past decade.
All right. We've got Steve here. We got Dorethia. We got Jesse. We got neighbor Doug and me. We're going to start a money revolution. So we're going to talk all things. What do you got to do to start that fire, right? To get things going when it comes to your money. We're going to have a lot of fun with that today. But before that, we got a couple sponsors that make sure we can keep on keeping on. So we're going to hear from them. And then Dorethia, Jesse, Steve, Doug, and me, we're going to dive into starting the money revolution. All right. 3, 2, 1. And you know what? Before we get started, we're not the only ones, by the way, guys. We are live on YouTube. We got Dan hanging out with us in Maryland. Dan, who's Baltimore Orioles. Doug, they're not having the year they had last year.
No. That was an anomaly. Let's be honest.
That was an anomaly. Wow. Dan, send your hate mail to Doug, not to me. Matt from Charlotte, North Carolina here. Eric is here from Minnesota. We got Bradley hanging out. Kyle from Vermont. Love Vermont. And of course, love Kyle, except for the fact that he went to the University of Michigan, that horrible school. If it's the Kyle, I think it is. B in California in the high desert. Jessica in Colorado. Thanks for hanging out. We generally make this show on Wednesday afternoon. So if you get a chance, come and watch us make the show. But let's start off, guys, talking about this idea of a money revolution, because, you know, some people were good with money from the very beginning, but for me, I had to have a gigantic wake-up call. Like, it truly was a revolution. I had to say, you know what, screw this. I got to do better. Like for you, Dorethia, was it a money revolution? Did you have to smack yourself upside the head and say, let's do things a lot differently? Or were you good from the beginning?
No, there was no good from the beginning. The beginning was very, very rocky. And I mean, you know the story, but I'll share for the listeners. I was a single mother, and everybody I saw was broke. And I was like, this cannot be how life should be lived. And so I had to have my own revolution to say, I want a different life, and then teach myself, because there was nobody to teach me. So there was absolutely a revolution. And it took a lot of mindset changes for me, especially when your surroundings, you don't see too much else.
For me, it was a set day, Dorethia. I was actually out in Ann Arbor, speaking of that horrible town. I was in Ann Arbor, and I ran out of gas one day, and I was walking to the gas station when I realized just how screwed I was and how I had to do things a ton different. Like, there was a day when my revolution started. Did yours have a day, or was it kind of slower build?
I think it was a slower build. I think for me, it wasn't a day, because I was so young and I was on my own so early that it just was, my life was the revolution. And I was like, I knew I wanted something different. So there was not a day when I said, you know what, I got to do something different.
Yeah.
The way I started life as a young adult, I immediately knew that wasn't how I wanted to live.
But still teaching yourself,
Yeah,
the people you're around, teaching yourself, teaching your kids, like all this stuff, all completely revolutionary.
Absolutely. And I will say this though, the creditor calls, crying to myself to sleep at night. I mean, those are moments along the revolution, right? That make you say never again. So I would say, and I bet a bunch of folks would agree with me, I never wanted a creditor to call me again, because that was crazy. It was stressful. And the things they would say to you was inhumane. So,
I was going to say, Dorethia, the ones I got, I don't know if they were like mine, but the ones I got, those people, to call them dicks is being incredibly nice.
Very nice. Very kind of you.
Right. They'd be like, well, thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's see about, what about you, Jesse? Was it a revolution for you and your money, or were you good with money from the beginning?
No, it was not good from the beginning. I can think of a few formative moments, a few times where I declared independence, as it were, from my lack of common sense, by Thomas Paine. Deep cut there, Doug.
Well
deep
done.
cut.
Respect.
I love how it was, by the way, for people that missed it, it was declaring independence from common sense, not toward common sense.
Was it my lack of common sense? But did I do a triple negative there? I tried to flip it on its head. Declared independence from my lack of common sense.
Gotcha.
Pursued the liberty pole, and really, for me, early on, I remember thinking to myself that I could monitor and manage just simple cash flow without even paying attention to it. Like, okay, I'll just spend money the way I want to spend money, and at the end of the day, I should be fine. And after a few months of trying that, or maybe a few years of trying that, I kind of tarred and feathered that habit, put it to bed, and declared revolution. Started measuring my money, started investing wisely. I've told that story before. And
was there a day though? Was there a day like me, or was it more like Dorethia, where it was no, like a slow burn?
It was years and years of slow. It was a slow grind, and I'm trying to put it into revolutionary terms. I'm sure the American patriots here just got sick and tired of the loyalists and taxation without representation. It wasn't one moment. Maybe eventually it turned into one moment in the revolution, but for me, it was just enough was enough.
Yeah. Just boiling point after a while. Steve, let's hear your story, man. Revolution or good with money from the beginning?
I was average with money. I had frugal parents, and I just learned how to live that way. And I was only broke for a few years, maybe after high school. But then I had, I was above the line on net worth, I think, for quite a while. But it wasn't until I had a pivot point. So not like a revolutionary day, but a pivot point when my wife and I went to buy her a new Jeep. I'd been listening to Dave Ramsey for a couple of years. I agreed with everything there. Thought, oh, we're okay. We'll keep the credit cards, and, mortgage is fine, all that stuff. But then we went to get this Jeep, and we couldn't pay cash for it. And I'm like, we should be better than this. I really thought we should be better than this. So at that point, it was in 2007 that I decided this is it. I'm getting rid of the debt. I cut up my credit cards, and I just paid off the car as fast as we could. It took about a year. And since then, I've been consumer debt free ever since.
Yeah, just a mortgage, right?
Yeah, just the mortgage. And we paid that off early too in 2015 until we moved here a year ago, and now I've got a mortgage again. But that's going to go. We're going to get
But that's funny. You're like OG who's on vacation today, but you and OG like working hard to pay that mortgage off early. It's not about interest rate. It's about getting rid of the loan.
Yeah. And, we can talk interest rates, but it's really not about that. It's about having that monthly obligation. I want to have the money that we make go towards the things that we want to buy. We made that decision when we decided to get this house that was more expensive than what we could afford at the time. So we are paying that off, paying that price, I guess you'd say. But yeah, OG and I are in a race right now to see who can pay off their mortgage early.
That's fantastic. Well, okay, guys, let's do this. Some people need to declare independence from debt, right? It's revolutionary because debt keeps people financially, quote, colonized. Credit cards, car loans, student loans dictate their life. Dorothea, when you've got debt, you're not calling the shots. You talked about those creditors calling, they're calling the shots.
Absolutely. They're calling the shots. And a lot of times, and we've all been here, right? We've been in a lot of places, experienced a lot of things. But one thing that really gets you with the credit cards is people assume that if I just pay the minimum payment, or maybe I'll pay a little bit more, I'll be okay. I'll still be paying the debt down. But what you really have to understand is that you have your minimum payment, but if you don't also pay all of the interest that you've incurred for that month, that is how the hole gets deeper and deeper. So if your minimum payment is $100 and you pay $150, but the interest is $180, you have not helped yourself any. And I think that people really miss that point. And they're like, well, I'm making the payments. I'm paying $50 extra. Well, you're not really helping yourself because you have to pay both. And you really need to work on those lump sums to pay it off. So that credit card debt really gets people in a bind.
Dorothy, a couple of weeks ago, Cheryl, my spouse, and I went to Crate and Barrel because they were having this huge like clearance sale. We found a sofa. We're adding on to our house. We found a sofa that was about half off, which meant that it's about a reasonable price for a sofa instead of Crate and Barrel prices.
Right? I was about to say, when you said Crate and Barrel, I was like, oh, okay.
Right. But here's the deal. I found out that I would get even more off if I opened up a Crate and Barrel credit card and used the credit card. And I had the money in cash. I was ready to spend cash. So I used the Crate and Barrel. I opened up Crate and Barrel cash.
Yes.
I used the credit card.
Yes.
I just got the agreement in the mail last week. Do you know what the interest rate is, Dorothea, to your point on that Crate and Barrel credit card?
29.99%. What is it?
33.
Yep.
33% interest. It's crazy. What they were charging. So anyway, I got the great deal and that thing's going away.
That's what I'm saying. But so you took advantage of it. You didn't need it though. You see the difference?
100%.
So that when you got the card, when you got the statement and you're like, no, I'm not paying this. You were able to get your furniture for cheaper, finance it for that moment. And then the next month, pay the whole thing off.
Yeah. Steve, you're a guy who, back in Money Play and SOS days, today, like whenever you're appearing anywhere, you're like, just stay away from debt, stay away from credit cards. You don't play the points game. Like, when did you declare the revolution against debt? But because I think about you and I think about staying out of debt.
Yeah, it was 2007. It was that day with the Jeep, and just decided that was it.
That was it. Like not anything besides that. Like I feel like family members in the past got into debt trouble or something, and that's why you were so passionate about not having debt.
No, I just knew it would be a better thing for my net worth overall, and it's so much better to have that cash available to you, even on a short-term basis. When you get paid, that money's yours to spend. It's not something that you have to repay back. That was it. It was really just to stay out of debt. I do get concerned about paying interest. Sure. There's that. You're paying more for something just because if you're paying interest, not paying off the debt every single month. But as far as like the credit cards and stuff, the revolution for me was to also just rail against the whole, you need to have credit cards to live in the United States. I haven't had credit cards since 2008, yet we've taken trips, we've flown, rented cars, hotels. There's nothing keeping me from doing anything here because I don't have any credit cards. I have a debit card. I have a bank account. I can transfer money back and forth. We pay for things with cash and cash equivalents.
future expenses can always be in the future. I don't make money and spending it on hamburgers I had in the past.
Yeah. And another thing too, if you don't have the cash to pay for something, it makes you think twice about it. And it also makes you find alternative ways to get whatever it is that you're looking for. So first you're identifying, do I really need the thing? And then secondly, you're thinking, okay, if I can't pay cash now, what can I do without borrowing money to get there? Work harder, work longer, work more hours, whatever. There's a lot of that there. There's a lot of creative ways people can generate income or get prices down to where they can afford the thing before they have to go and buy that. Instead of buying that $25,000 vehicle, maybe they settle for a $10,000 for the next couple of years.
Jesse, your first tip to people listening or hanging out with us on YouTube who might have a debt problem, like what's the first thing they should do?
Really good question. The first thing they should do, my mind, there's a tie, and it's either stop the leaking. That might be the first thing you want to do. It's just like, well, is the debt growing? Like, and if so, like, can you stop doing that thing that is like, is there a spending problem, for lack of a better term? But then tied with that is just understanding, identifying the debt itself. And in my personal approach would be stack ranking it by interest rate. So I understand which debts do you have, and then what's the principal amount, and then what are the interest rates? Because my approach is you want to start paying down the highest interest rate debts first.
Stop the leaking. I love that. Have you ever experienced leakage, Jesse?
Yeah, it's gross.
Remember what I was saying earlier about my tea party?
I knew you
Here
weren't
we
gonna
go.
be able to let that
Oh
go.
my goodness.
Let what go? I'm
soon
just
as he said
asking.
leaking. I'm like, oh, here we go.
I just
8th
asked.
grade locker room.
I asked a simple question. Dorothea, what's the first thing you do when you would tell people to do when they have debt problems?
Oh, definitely pause. And the thing is that a lot of times when people have debt problems, what do? They go look for more debt to cover that debt. Right? It's like, what are you doing? Like, what's happening here? Because but honestly, you have to get another job because your income does not allow you to cover your expenses now that you've got all this racked up, all this debt. So it's a season of extra work. It is a season of extra work. And then all the extra money you make goes to pay that debt off.
I had a friend in college named Lisa who was running her own Ponzi scheme, Dorothea. She was opening up new credit cards to pay off the old credit cards.
Yes.
And it was only a matter of time till we said, what's going on? She goes, at some point, my dad's going to find out. And
exactly.
That was what I mean. How lucky, by the way, that she had a dad who was going to be able to bail her out in the first place. Right.
Exactly.
Because for me, I didn't, my dad would have went, good luck.
No. Yeah. My mother was like, I have nothing to help you with. You're on your own.
Right. Steve, anything to add when people are first staring down the barrel of debt, starting the revolution?
Dorothea just answered it. How could I even expound on that? She has the answers. All the answers come from her.
You got to work.
All right. All right. Well, Steve, let's stick with you for the second one, because you know what? There's getting into debt. And then there's this amazing thing where there is no interest called buy now, pay later now, right? I mean, I can buy it now. I can have the thing, but I don't have to pay right away. And as long as I make the 4 easy payments or whatever, there's zero interest due. What could be wrong with that?
It sounds so great, doesn't it? But I go back to my original principle that if I can't pay cash for it, then I don't buy it, because now I've got that obligation coming out in the future. Even if it's a zero, or even if I get it at a discount, it's still going to be an obligation in the future.
Yeah.
And I like simplicity. I like it to be easy. I like my budget to show what I'm paying for and what I want to buy, and not what I have purchased and what I have to go back and pay off. It's just a simplicity type of easy living.
So another thing on here, another a revolutionary concept, let's overthrow the demons of lifestyle creep. Why this is revolutionary: the more you make, the more you spend, the more you stay stuck. The revolution, draw a line in the sand and say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. And yet, Jesse, you look at the neighbors down the street, they got a new car. You look at the nice neighborhood, man, that's just a little bit nicer than the neighborhood you live in. You've got a child now. You're like, if I could bring up my child in that neighborhood versus this neighborhood, and I only got to stretch a little bit.
Yeah, it's that's overcoming that's a revolution against our human brains, right? Our comparison brains, our jealous brains. What is it? Charlie Munger has this really good quote basically saying that like envy is like the worst of the seven sins, and it's it's well, he says it because it's the only one that you don't get any joy from, which is pretty funny if you think about it. But he's got a good point where it's just like envy is this, we all have it, and we see what other people have, we want that thing too. I was just having a really good conversation with Spencer, who runs a podcast called The Military Money Manual, and I was asking him because he was kind of telling me about his military career and how, like, as you rank up, you get more income and some other benefits too. And I was like, well, when you ranked up, when you first became like a captain, did you look around at like what all the other captains have? And did you feel some of that? And he's like, yeah, a little bit of it, but sometimes yes, sometimes no, but it's all around us. Like there are hierarchies all around us, and it's only natural, it's only human to compare yourself to other people in your hierarchy, but then also maybe above you too. Or even worse, maybe, I don't know, when someone, what's that one famous quote? There's like, Warren Buffett says it, is there's nothing that makes you feel worse than when your neighbor who's like stupider than you is making more money. Like, I know it's a harsh quote, but Warren Buffett said it. But like, there's something human where like we compare ourselves to others. We try to rank ourselves compared to others.
How is that moron making more than me?
He just described what I feel like every time I'm on this show.
That's exactly right. But I think it is, we really need to try hard to overcome all of those thought processes, whether they lead to lifestyle creep itself, or whether it's just that feeling of envy and jealousy that brings us down because other people have nicer things than us. It's hard to do, but really important.
Dorothea, one difference between when you and I were neighbors in Detroit and living now back in small town America, Texarkana, is that in the Detroit area, I could feel the rat race. You just feel that around you when you're at the grocery store, when you're at kids events, right? Oh my goodness. PTA meetings, you could just feel this rat race.
I'm going to tell you, let me tell you. So
how do you set it aside? Yeah.
Well, I'll give you one time. My daughter was in high school and we had moved to the suburbs so she could get a good education. Right. I'm in this PTA meeting. There's this trip, and I think the trip was like $1,000. And I'm sitting there like, okay, what is the payment plan? And everybody else is like, can I write a check? Can I just, and I was like,
wait, what?
Like, hold on. So you don't want to be like, what's the payment plan? When everybody else is like, I can write a check, get my credit card. So you really have to be confident in who you are and social media and your goals. And social media does not help. Like we're talking about the in-person lifestyle. When you're at the grocery store and you're riding around, everybody's got these different kind of cars and these fancy, the thing with the parents with the baby strollers, like $1,000 baby strollers. Like what's happening here? And you really have to focus on your goals. But here's something that might bring some levity for everybody. And some people are doing great. They've got the money. That's cool. But you don't know the situation. You have no idea what's really going on behind closed doors. You don't, like, I'm a coach. You guys, we're all in this money game. So we've heard all the stories. Who is, refinancing this, who is going into deep debt to keep up with other people, who really shouldn't have bought that luxury vehicle, but just had to have it because I worked so hard, right? So you cannot compare yourself to what everybody else has going on, even if what they have going on is real and true and great, and they really have all that money.
It's funny, the display of wealth, to your point, when I was a financial planner, Dorothy, it was exactly 100% what you're talking about. Yeah. Display of wealth and having money, two totally different things. When you got to see behind the hood, you're like, really? You're spending every dollar you make so that you look that you look great.
Yeah.
Steve, have you noticed in your life, like lifestyle creep times when you had to go, you know what? I don't think this is really something that I truly want.
Not necessarily, but I've had lifestyle creep just recently. We thought we were ready when we moved here to a higher cost of living area, and we got here and I was like, okay, we got this. Whoops. It's not going as well as we planned. So we had to replace a water heater when we got here, the filtration system. We had to fix the roof, even though all the inspection stuff came back fine. But
that's more home maintenance than lifestyle creep.
Right. But then there's the groceries and all the other things that
yeah.
are coming up. And I thought we'd just want to stay here in the house. We're 20 minutes from the nearest anything. So it's at least an hour to go anywhere and do anything.
Mhm.
And that's gas and stuff. And I thought, well, we'll just stay here most of the time. No, we're going to town 3-4 times a week. It's ridiculous.
And Steve, you bring up a great point. When you move into an affluent area or higher than what you're used to, the grocery stores are higher end.
Isn't that
So you're
funny?
spending more.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the case here, but yeah, I get that too.
No, we saw that moving to Texarkana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only 5,000 people in this county. So
wow.
it's not quite like that, but because it is so remote, things just the supply and demand right there for getting, the handyman or anything, it's going to cost more.
The good news is, Steve, since nobody lives there, none of those restraining orders against you are like you're not violating any of them.
That must be it. That's the truth.
which is fabulous. All right. In the second half of today, I want to talk about breaking up with bad money advice. There's a revolution. We talked a little bit about that on the show last week. Starting a tax revolt, maybe even storming the gates of financial literacy and more. So, but before we do that, at the halfway point of every Friday show, we have this year-long competition between our three frequent contributors, OG, Jesse, and Paula Pant. Just to keep things easy, we'll keep genders the same. So Dorethia, you'll play on behalf of Paula. How about that?
Okay.
Steve, you'll play on behalf of OG, which means, Dorethia, that means there's some good news and bad news playing for Paula. You want the good news or the bad news?
Let's go with the good news first.
Well, the good news is that you're going to get to guess last because you are tied with Jesse. Which means bad news for Steve. Steve playing for OG. OG's out in front, but by how much? Doug, what's the score of this contest so far for 2025?
Why don't I just get the point? Can we? Can we just agree to this, please?
We can save ourselves 15 minutes.
Hey, here's a revolutionary idea for you. Give me the point, please.
Well, Joe, we've got Paula and Jesse are tied at 5.5, and OG's way out front with 9 points right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right. So Dorethia and Jesse, you got you got a mission here. Either Jesse needs the point or Dorethia / Paula needs the point. Steve, you can leave the brains at home today. We've got to have a trivia question though. What's on your mind this holiday weekend, Doug?
Well, Joe, this is a trivia question that we spent at least 4.5 minutes researching. So I just can't wait for everybody to hear this one. Hey there, Stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and this discussion has been pure gold, hasn't it? But on today's date, way back in 1792, the young and lean U.S. government passed a bill to make things way better for U.S. currency. They called it the Big, Beautiful Money Bill.
No, that's that wasn't a thing back. We didn't have to name all the bills back in the day.
No? All right.
No.
Well, okay. All right. Well, before bill naming became a thing, they just called it the Coinage Act of 1792. Look, there are 2 words for that. Boring. I mean, there's a reason they wrote all the boring bills before the internet. Anyway, in this act, the U.S. Congress decided to use the silver standard to standardize the first official U.S. currency. So here's the question. How many grains of silver, and I can see the WTFs on your face right now. Yes, grains is an official measurement of silver. How many grains of silver equaled $1 back in 1792 when they established the standard? I'll be back right after I change Joe's mom's ringtone to Yankee Doodle. Oh, that's going to be funny.
Oh, that's just hilarious. Doug's got all the good jokes. We're talking grains of silver.
Yeah. I'm
and
so
by the way,
sorry, Paula.
But before we get to grains of silver, by the way, Doug, you said WTF. I saw somebody online last week who said they told their mom that WTF meant, wow, that's fantastic. and so when she found out her niece had a baby, she wrote WTF. when she found out that another family was getting married, she wrote WTF.
Uh-oh.
A lot of
That's like the
unintended
people who
consequences.
use the laughing crying emoji because they see tears and they'll use it for a sad thing.
Oh,
Like, my aunt passed away, and then they send the laughing emoji.
Well, we had Mindy Jensen on talking about how she noticed there was random vegetables, so she sent everybody eggplants when she would send emails. So good. All right, Steve, you're guessing first. Grains of silver. How many grains of silver back in 1792 equaled $1?
Grains? Really?
Grains.
Is this
It
kind of like
a unit
there's
of measurement for silver?
like pound and pound? There's money pounds and the weight of pounds. There's grains in silver.
There is.
Good Lord. Okay. I'm just going to throw a number out there because there's absolutely no way I can paula my way through that type of a question. And what would OG
use Paula's
say?
name as a verb?
I'm coining it. TM. I'm acting for OG, so let me do all the
We're kind of hoping
OG-isms.
you Paula your way through it and don't get it right.
Yeah. Okay. So what would OG say? He would say, I have no idea. No bleeping idea. I would probably just go ahead and say 1.5 million grains.
1.5 million grains. Jesse?
I'm going to go lower.
It's
We'll
sandwich
sell-
time, Dorothea.
We'll establish
Exactly.
that. I'm going to go. I have no idea as well. Yeah.
Is he looking it up on his phone?
No. I'm looking down at my notes. I don't know if you
Oh.
can see my notepad here where I was doing some calculations.
To figure out the grains?
Or yeah, right. I'm thinking to myself like a grain of sand, right? How many grains of sand would I have to smelt to create something that's the size of a coin? That's kind of what I was thinking. So I'm going to go with 800 grains.
800 grains. Dorothea, you got 800 and
Listen.
1 point something million from Steve.
Listen.
1 point what million, Steve?
1.5. What the heck?
1.5.
Listen.
1.5 million.
Listen, a million. Listen, I have absolutely no idea.
It's going to be 1 million grains. All right. We got 1 million. We got 1,500,000. And we have Jesse, you had 500 and what?
I think I said 800.
800.
800 grains.
800 grains. Sorry. All right. And 800 grains. These all over the place today. How many grains are right? We're going to find out in just a minute. We'll be right back. All right, guys. Our live stream's been quiet. Oh, Joe's special. Nice job, Doug. Just catching up on the insults. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Steve, you kicked off this shindig by saying 1.5 million grains. Everybody else thought that was too many grains. You can never have enough grains, though, can you?
No, that's great for your diet.
Yeah.
The fiber that comes along with it, stuff like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
OG would be
Jesse,
proud.
you went with 800. I think a factor many X's below 1.5 million.
Mhm.
What do you think? Feeling good?
So I'm not feeling good about the guess of 800, but only in comparison to the much higher guesses, I am feeling good. Only because here's my thought. It's 1792. You're writing a coinage act. You're wondering, okay, we're going to make these coins. I assume one has to be able to count out the grains potentially that would go into a coin. I'm not sure how that all works. I'm just a modern. I'm a modern thinker. I'm not a 1700s thinker. But I if anything, I don't know. I think the answer might be like 17. But so I'm feeling okay.
I don't know. We'll see if Jesse's math in his head actually makes any sense. Dorothea, you went, well, not quite down the middle. You went with 1 million. Feeling good?
Yeah, feeling great. Just fine.
There it is. She's like, just give us the answer. Come on, put us out of our misery. Doug, who's going to win this thing?
Well, hey there, stackers. I'm expert pranker, yet guy who didn't know Joe's mom's ringtone was already Yankee Doodle, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. The coinage act of 1792, that old pearl. I'll bet there were fireworks that day as advocates of pyrite saw their metal cast aside and even slanderously called fool's gold. Heck, quartz and calcite didn't stand a chance because it was silver's big day, as today's question, the U.S. Congress pegged the value of $1 on just how many grains of silver? Well, I'm not going to give you the answer. This is OG's favorite part. I will tell you the correct answer is 1,499,628.8, less than what Steve guessed. 999,628.75, less than what Dorethia guessed. And just 428.75, less than what Jesse guessed, because the correct answer is 371.25 grains of silver, making Jesse our winner. Let me do some math for you folks out there who I know are thinking about it. Yes, a grain is an actual unit of measurement. 1 grain equals about 0.155 gram or 0.005 ounces. And based on today's silver price, yes, I checked this, that's worth about $28.18 today.
Just a single grain?
Congratulations, Jesse. You get no silver.
Just a single grain is worth $28.
No. The 371.25 grains that equaled $1 in 1792. Because you can go online, they still measure silver in grains. So I found a site online, and it says how many grains you have, 371.25. And it tells you based on today's price, this was as of 1 o'clock earlier today, it was $28.18. So there's some interesting thought process there between 1792, that was $1, and today it's only $28.18. Talk about that.
You wonder how Doug finds these websites. It's late at night. He's got all the lights off.
I turn all the trackers off.
He puts on incognito mode.
Drinking tea.
Right.
And goes and finds out how many grains of silver. Yeah. All right. Congratulations, Jesse. Nice work, man.
Thank you very much. It feels good. I'm off the schneid.
You were still, it was what, half of the number that you had.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into the second half of our discussion, because man, do we need a revolution. Let's talk about rallying the troops, AKA your family, right? If we're going to have a revolution, Dorethia, we need better people around us. Maybe not even our family, but maybe better advisors, maybe better surround sound, maybe better tools at our hands.
Yes, absolutely. And I like the fact that you said not maybe just our family and friends, but also our tools, because some people may not have. I am blessed that I do have a lot of family and friends who later were able to kind of rally around me, but some people don't have that, and they do need to either find a new community of people, find tools and different things. For me, one thing that really was impactful was I had an uncle, and him and his wife had just bought a home, beautiful home. And he told me that he had a plan to pay that home off in 5 years. That one statement was like, what? I had never heard anyone talk like that. So you need to be around people who are having those kind of conversations. It may not be your family and friends. It may be another community that you're involved in, but they're having those kind of conversations without the scamminess of things that can go on.
I love the title of your book, #Money Chats, because money chats, I mean, we're having a money chat right here. And if it's your first time in one of these, man, they are all over the place. Dorethia, it's funny. People always say there's no place to look. And yet YouTube is filled with people having conversations like we're having right now.
Exactly. Absolutely. So use the tools at your disposal. Like I was saying, social media. Now we do have to be careful because some of it is not good advice, but vet the people that you're following. And why are you some of it?
Some of it's not good advice.
Right. Because I mean, I've heard some stuff, but vet the people, follow the people, see what makes sense for you and what applies, because there's some really, like Stacking Benjamins, there's some really good quality advice that you can get by following those folks. It's almost like you're a virtual money mentor.
I love that. I love the advice that our firm Roger Whitney gives, Dorethia, which is if somebody is online, they're talking about product, run away.
Yes.
If they're talking about process and way to think, that's when you latch on.
That's right.
Great stuff. Steve, for you, you said that, getting the Jeep changed everything, but it's not just you. You've got a daughter, you've got a spouse. Like, how does the Steve Stewart team, how do you get the whole team involved so that it becomes a team sport?
It's drawing out that picture of what you want to be. They always say, what do you want to have or what do you want to be in 5 years? Picturing what you want to have in the next, decade, what it's going to look like. It never ever works out that way, but at least you're heading towards that goal. And that was what kept us moving forward, is just be able to say, we don't want to be like we used to be. We want to improve. And then this is what we want to look like in 5 or 10 years.
Do you feel like your daughter has good money habits?
She does. And we never actually just sat her down at the table and, wagged our fingers and said, here's what you got to do. She just seemed to learn by observation and hearing the conversations like Dorethia was saying, just overhearing something and said, oh, I think that's what she absorbed, because she's got a good head on her shoulders. She's making some good decisions.
You never had the sweetheart, here's how $1 is made. It's time you learned.
Mansplaining money.
Did you know how many grains
4 quarters
are in?
really love each other?
They turn it into a $2 bill.
Well, Dorethia, you have older kids like I do. Like, kids are sponges, man. Like, even if, to your point, even if you don't sit down with them, they're watching you.
They are watching. And I did sit down because nobody sat me down, and I didn't want them to live the way I did or start out the way I did. Right. So I did sit my kids down. Now, sometimes they listened, sometimes they didn't. My son, he really listens. He holds on to $1. Right. So that's another thing I would like to say for parents. Just do the best you can. Sit down with them, teach them. As they become adults, you will have to sometimes it's different relationship at that point, but you will have to sometimes say, okay, well, have you considered this? Have you considered that? Sometimes you've got to buy a book or two, sometimes you got to pay for something to send them to, if you see that they're just going down a path that's reckless financially. So yes, I did sit down they went with me when I went to speaking engagements, all the things.
I thought I had everything turned off, and I don't. Well, Steve, you know how to cut that. All of a sudden my ringer. All right. 3, 2, 1. Jesse, is your daughter a year old yet?
Yeah, she'll be 13 months here. In
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Man, time flies.
Yeah, it does.
You being a money nerd like the rest of us, man, you must have already thought about this topic with your daughter.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was funny. The other day, she decided, she got pretty nervous about
compounding interest. She got nervous about compounding interest.
She did. She's trying to time the market. And no, as Dorethia was talking, I was thinking of the fact that now, as I think most kids do, this is something I've learned that I didn't know before. Like, most kids go through a stage where they like to throw food on the floor. It's just something about like a little bit of control, or just it's fun. And so I'll sit there, I'll say no. And she just gives me the biggest smile when I say no. So I'm prepared for the fact that there might be some hard conversations in our future, right, where she doesn't really want to listen to me. But no, it is this whole idea of rallying the troops and getting your family behind you. So I was speaking this morning to a listener from Wisconsin, and we had such an interesting conversation because there's a lot of outward signs of success, I would say, between her family, between her older in-laws, as it were, some adults, some older adults in the family. But this was her admission that just the lack of communication and the lack of transparency in terms of money conversations, in terms of getting people on the same page, in terms of what do the parents want, what do the grandparents want, what do the grandkids want, is causing a lot of friction there. And I just think it's one of those things where even, it's possible to have the numbers looking great and still have a lot of discomfort in your financial situation simply because people aren't on the same page, because you're not talking about it. So I like this revolutionary idea of rallying the troops together.
I think, Steve, what Jesse's talking about goes back to lifestyle creep. That, man, when my kids were teenagers, lifestyle creep, they wanted lifestyle creep in their life. Like, hey, everybody else is doing the thing, so we should be able to do that too.
Well, it's also different for us now because there's so much more consumerism than there was when we were growing up. So the kids have more. I mean, there was no cell phones for kids back when we were in high school. There wasn't. There was a bag phone for the car, I think. That was about it for us.
No, but you had to have that Atari 2600, and don't try to tell me you didn't, Steve.
Oh, you could read my mail, can't you, Doug?
You wanted that.
Yeah.
There's always been, no matter what your age, they didn't have all the stuff we have now, but there were things we had to have.
There was the thing.
Yes, but that now with the kids having what feels to them as more independence, there's a revolutionary word for you, more independence in their life, that they can go out and they can buy all these different things. I mean, just look at the dollar stores and the malls and the Walmarts and how many different things there are in there that you can choose from. We didn't have that type of selection back then. It's just compounded by 10x to.
Well, and I think to your point, Steve, we're just attacked by it more often, right? The marketing is so much more. Yeah, I don't even have time, Doug, to focus on the Atari 2600 because there's 800 other things that I see. I mean, I think about today, I went into a bicycle shop to get my bike repaired, and I saw that there were these headphones, these bone induction headphones that you can wear when you run that don't have any cord. And, I always worry about like the AirPods that fall out. And immediately, you know what I did? I go, I want those. Immediately. I'm like, oh my God, I need those. How much are they? Oh, they're only $150. And then I'm driving home. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Why do my headphones work just fine?
I don't exercise. What do I need these for?
Right. And to prove it, I'm going to grab another donut on the way home. Right. So it is all over us. Let's do one a little bit geekier for our more advanced money nerds. Starting a tax revolt. Jesse, let's go to you. Most people ignore tax efficiency. My piece here says until it's too late. Do you see people that really need maybe a tax revolution in their life, even if they're a money geek?
I love this one, especially just because so much of the American Revolution was about taxes.
Right. Dumping that tea, going back to the tea.
Yeah. So, okay. Do I see people who really need a tax revolution? Occasionally I'll see someone. So probably like the furthest out on the revolutionary scale that I'll see is someone who says it's like, well, yeah, I kind of wanted this new car. I was a little cash poor. So I emptied out my 401k to go buy this car. And you're like, oh my gosh, you just like they do something totally unaware of the tax impacts. So that's like pretty far out there, but something that I think is relatively revolutionary that even the average investor might not think about is that kind of these pre-retirement and post-retirement moves where we can do some sort of like quote unquote tax arbitrage, or we can think about the tax rates we're paying now and the tax rates we might be paying in the future. And that ought to inform how we save money right now and then how we withdraw money in retirement. And it is like you said, Joe, like it's okay. Yeah, it's a little more of an advanced topic. It's not necessarily your personal finance 101 type topic, but those are the ways that we should be, optimizing and saving dollars in the long run and letting more money compound because it makes a big difference. It makes a really big difference.
How do you think about taxes, Dorethia, in your plan?
You know what? I agree 100% with Jesse. And I'm going to tell you what my tax accountant friends, right? They try to add on pieces of their business that is tax planning. So helping people do exactly what Jesse is saying, or planning for those capital gains or things like that. Do you know that is the hardest part of their business to build? People just want to go to their tax account to get their taxes done. Okay,
which is funny because tax planning far bigger kaboom you can make than just putting the puzzle together later.
Exactly. And that is what they try to teach people. It's like, you owed this year, so let's make sure you don't owe next year, or you didn't expect this capital gains tax. What are you planning to, what distributions do you plan for this year? How can we make sure you don't owe, that you can break even? Or if you do owe, you are prepared to pay the tax. But people they just really want what they want right then and there. So I see that end of it for people who don't end up owing, but then the people who end up owing year after year after year after year, and it's just like, are you kidding me? Like we're having these same conversations every year. It is really mind-boggling that you would not make a plan, especially, okay, first year, okay, fine. Year two, there's got to be a plan put in place so that you don't continue to owe.
I remember when I was younger, just my friends always comparing tax people against each other based on who got you the biggest refund,
Yep.
or tax software based on which one got me the biggest refund, which emphasized just cheating on your taxes. Like how
That's it.
that's all you're doing is like, who's going to go further into the gray area for me to get a return I don't need. All of a sudden
Exactly.
I have a business that I really don't have.
So if we want to
Exactly.
have a real revolution, what we should do is just pass the fair tax, HR 25. It'll wipe out like a quarter of our economy as far as all the complexities of financial tracking and advice and planning.
Steve, you have been an advocate of this for
Oh my gosh.
over 10 years.
Oh my gosh, it's kind of like a VAT tax with a little bit of a what they call a prebate, which provides people a little bit of money to compensate for the things they spend money on that we have been. And it's just a sales tax. It's not going to be all this complicated tax return stuff. We don't have to worry about pre-tax, post-tax, and withdrawal strategies as much. It's just going to be, it would be tremendous, but it would also be crazy to start.
Maybe you need to talk to Doug about that being part of the 2028 platform when Doug runs for president.
I'm
still a fan.
All right. Yes.
There's the one. You don't have the 2024 up either.
I never got it. We were in the middle of a move. So
That's right. You were. Yeah. That's the 2024 campaign where Doug came close to getting the 0.00001% that we were looking for. Let's look at just one more of these before we say goodbye. Storming the gates of financial literacy. I mean, all of us are in this camp, Jesse, but what's one creator who's not on this podcast today that you really like, that you would point people to go listen to this person or read their book or watch their video? What's one creator which we can nod at?
Ooh, that's putting me on the spot. How do I pick just one? I'm looking over at my bookshelf right now for inspiration. I know Warren Buffett's not a creator, but as far as like pearls of wisdom, love
There you
Warren
go.
Buffett. But how
No,
about
that's a good one.
Yeah,
I think Warren Buffett does create content. I mean, those,
Yeah.
I don't think people go to the Berkshire Hathaway meeting to just hear what Berkshire Hathaway's done the last year. They're going there for pearls of wisdom.
Yeah.
And so, I mean,
Absolutely.
he's
he
putting on
also
a
coincidentally
concert.
was born in 1776. So full circle.
May or may not be true. I also like the quote, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet." Abraham Lincoln's famous quote that said that. Dorothea, who's one creator that we should be paying attention to?
You know what? It's so interesting that you asked me this today. And I told you that I am becoming a TikTok, even more of a TikTok queen here. I have been following a gentleman by the name of Money Coach Vince, and he is killing TikTok and Instagram, and his advice and everything he's giving is so good. He's built an amazing community, and I am really enjoying following him now on social.
On social media. We got to try to get Vince on the show too.
Oh, you definitely.
I love it when I find new creators. Steve,
Yes.
who's somebody else we should be paying attention to?
They haven't put out a lot of new content in the financial space recently, but I think you can just go back and just absorb a whole bunch of great advice. And it's comforting to listen to them. It's Talit and Ty McNeely from His and Her Money.
Oh, I
I'm a
love
big fan of theirs
Yes.
for years.
Yes.
And they're just doing good stuff all around, even if it's not current on YouTube. Just good people doing good stuff for.
Well, and evergreen advice.
Yes.
I mean, just
absolutely.
the stuff they talked about was so evergreen. So inspirational, the way that they sold so much of their stuff and gamified it. And also, by the way, two people on totally different money trajectories and learning to come together, and be a team.
Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff.
They truly are one.
We'll link to all those people. Doug, you got one too?
Yeah, I think everybody should listen to the Neighbor Doug show. I mean, I can't believe that didn't get
Wow. Not on this call.
mentioned.
That was Doug's definition right there. If not, definitely not on this call.
Is season 2 coming? Is this breakthrough information? Breaking news?
Oh, man. All right. That's going to do it for today. The good news is we also, everybody who's part of the Stacking Benjamin show today, all of our contributors, they've got great stuff going where they are. Dorothea, what's some of the goodness you're making on social media, and how do people follow what you're up to?
Yes, please follow. I am Dorothea on TikTok. I am doing a lot there. TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram are my main spots. You can find me talking all things personal finance and business coaching.
just straight shooter, and always love your advice. If anybody is incredibly blunt, but has great velvet on the hammer, it's Dorethia Kelly. Like, just amazing. Super happy you were back with us. Jesse, what's going on at the Personal Finance for Long-Term Investors podcast?
Doug, do you have any comments before I chime in there?
That's my Joe. It is becoming my favorite name for any podcast. First of all, it's genius for search engine optimization, right? I mean, it says what it is. You're like, well, I want to find a show that's for personal finance. I'm a long-term investor. Bam, it's in your face. But don't forget, it's also the P-Fly podcast.
Oh,
you look at the acronym, it's P-Fly, baby.
P-Fly.
How long did it take Doug to come up with that, Jesse? I mean, we've been doing this.
How long did that take you, Doug?
That was a matter of seconds over some text, fun text that
yeah, but after like 6 months, we've been trying to figure this out for 6 months, helping Jesse come up with
marketing consulting for him.
P-Fly.
We also came up with what else did we come up with? The fault.
Faulty?
It's your fault. It's all your fault. That's what we came up with. PFLT.
It was some great names, but I'll take P-Fly. I'll take P-Fly. Also, I just didn't want to go back because Velvet on the Hammer was my nickname in college, Joe. I don't know how you knew that, but what's going on?
Reassigning it to Dorethia.
It's a great nickname.
I was the Piston, and then I never understood that. I still don't get it.
Oh, that is funny. What do we have going on over on the podcast? Well, we're coming off a great month of June, another all-timer of a month, and just recently released an ode to Warren Buffett. It's why he was on my mind. I did an episode all about some of Warren's best wisdom, and then later on in July, I think we have a special bonus episode, and I won't tell you why it's special. And then Peter Lazaroff is joining us soon too. And if you don't know Peter, he's a phenomenal voice in the investing world and well worth looking into.
We're good friends with Peter, and that's another guy that we need to have back on. Like Dorethia, we just don't get to talk to Peter enough. Steve, thank you. It's so good to have you on this side of the microphone instead of the other side.
We never talk.
I know, right? But there's a lot of creators that listen to the show. And a lot of the time they are either looking for good editing help, or they are thinking about maybe getting into editing. And you A, help people figure out how to edit their stuff, but B, you also counsel people that are doing the thing that you do.
Yeah. I've got a community, Podcast Editors Club on Facebook. That's where we all just hang out and talk about the post-production stuff of podcasting, all about the editing and how we serve our clients. And then I have the Podcast Editor Academy at podcasteditoracademy.com, where I teach people how to become podcast editors by trade. And for people who are listening, who aren't interested in any of that stuff, who don't want to be an editor, but are looking for someone, I can connect you with editors because I've got this great community, like I said. So if they're looking for somebody, I've got a great way to get them in front of hundreds of people without actually walking into a room and raising your hand saying, hey, I'm looking for an editor. You don't want to do that. So come see me at podcasteditoracademy.com for that.
And we'll link to Dorothea's work, Jesse's work, and Steve's work in our show notes. Doug, I wish Steve was a giver. If Steve was a little bit of a giver, Doug, I think he'd be like the perfect human.
He just doesn't ever stop thinking about Steve, though. I mean, it's really hard when you're as self-focused as he is.
I learned from the best.
I don't know how many more selfless individuals there are than the amazing Steve Stewart. All right. That's going to do it for today. Doug, bring it home for us, man. What should we have learned on today's show?
Well, Joe, here's what's stacked up on our to-do list for today. First, take some advice from Dorethia. If you're lonely and bored, just stop paying your bills. You'll have people calling you nonstop. They'll play great practical jokes like moving your car on you in the middle of the night. Sometimes they'll even come over and just knock on your front door. It's a great way to get some friends. Second, don't forget what Steve Stewart recommended. One way to ensure success is to draw a picture of what you want your future to look like. I've seen his self-portrait, and it looks surprisingly like Scrooge McDuck swimming in gold coins. But the big lesson, don't try to change Joe's mom's ringtone to Yankee Doodle, or she'll change your ringtone to something like this.
Oh my God, I forgot to pull it up.
Dude, you had one job.
Hold on, Steve. We're gonna fix this in post.
That's going to become the blooper at the end.
All right, hold on. Let me get it to the spot so I can play it.
Does
You
Doug get
guys
to start over again?
This is truly how the side. Yeah, that's right. We're gonna take it from the top, everybody. All right, let me play this. Come on. This is how it gets made behind the scenes, guys.
You know, you can just send me the sound file. It's already dead for the people watching live.
we just need them to hear it. All right, here we go.
That was disappointing.
Not as good, but you got to wait for it.
Can we roll with the credits?
What the hell?
Oh, what the hell. Thanks to Dorethia Kelly for joining us today. You'll find Dorothea's book, #MoneyChat, and links to her coaching, speaking, and more at DorotheaKelly.com.
Don't forget to follow her on social.
We'll do that too. Yeah, do all of the things. We'll also include links in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. Thanks to Steve Stewart for hanging out with us today. You'll find Steve not only behind the scenes here, but also coaching others on how to edit podcasts. You can find Steve at stevestewart.me. See, there's that he's so self-focused. It's all about me. It's a perfect domain for Steve Stewart. Thanks also to the Jesse Cramer for joining us today. You'll find his podcast, Personal Finance for Long-Term Investors. Oh, as you know, I like to call it the P-Fly, wherever you find the finest podcasts.
All right. And then we'll have 45 seconds of silence to do this. Welcome to the after show. This is the part of the show that doesn't exist. What happens in the after show stays in the after show. It is Independence Day in America, and that means that there's some hilarious stuff that comedians, Doug, have done on social media. I think about every year we've played that awesome Stephen Marchant piece about if the world were still if the United States was still under British rule. We may play that at the end, but let's focus on this one now. This is a shortened clip of comedian Nate Bargatze on Saturday Night Live. I shortened it just to take out this. You're going to hear some cuts. They took out the laughter parts, but I think everybody will understand where this is headed. Well, they will if the sound was on. Again, this is how the pros do it, everybody. All right, here we go.
Is there any chance we will win this war?
Of course. I am fearful as well. But we will live through the battle ahead because we fight to control our own destiny, to create our own nation, and to do our own thing with the English language. One day, our great nation will have a word for the number 12. We shall call it a dozen.
And what other numbers will we have a word for?
None. Only 12 shall have its own word because we are free men. And we will be free to spell some words 2 different ways.
Which words, sir?
Donut. And the name Jeff.
What are the 2 ways to spell Jeff, sir?
It's the short way with a J and the stupid way with a G.
So many inconsistencies. It made me wonder, are there any financial inconsistencies that you guys can think of? Like if George Washington is going across the Delaware and Dorothea, you were telling us about the future. What's one thing in 2025 that the people in 1776 might not have understood?
I think it's the fact that you can literally bankrupt your way out of gambling debt, but not your student loans. Like, why not?
So we just need to gamble more.
Apparently.
Yes.
Pay off our student loans, clearly.
Why is that, Jesse? Why can we just, get out of gambling debt, but not student loans?
Why is it? I mean, isn't that just part of the the legislation around student loans themselves? I mean, is that what you're asking, Joe, or are you looking for a logical answer? Because I'm not
I
sure.
thought you were
there
just
really
going to
is
say
one.
the name
Right.
Nancy. Nobody knows.
Oh,
Jesse is ready. Okay, Jesse has the answers. Do you understand? The legislation says
That's right.
yeah. I'm not really one for jokes.
I think
You know,
to be funny.
I think it's
I
just
don't
the
really
way
like
the rules
humor.
work, Joe. Yeah. I think
Are you
they
serious,
set up
Joe?
the rule that way. Yeah, that is strange. All right, Steve, you're George Washington going across the Delaware. What's a financial inconsistency that people might see in the future?
I was reminded from the video intro that you have at the beginning of the live streams here, Joe. John Hope Bryant says credit is money. That's the misconception, that credit is money.
Yeah, wait, we can we're going to refer to this as our money, and yet it's not our money.
Right.
Right.
We think we can spend money because we have this credit, and then of course we have to pay it back. So
Well, that's
it's leverage.
I mean, speaking of credit, one of my favorite ones is just the credit score. Like, we're going to judge people on a scale. Oh, what's that scale going to be? 1 to 10? Oh, no. It's going to be between 300 and 850.
right.
Why is that? I don't know.
Right.
We're just
Right.
do it differently.
We just made this up.
Yeah, not even 1 to 100.
And when you're debt free, your score will go down.
Yep, absolutely. That's
Yes.
another consistency right there. If you're
Yes.
good with money and you don't borrow any, you're credit worthy, except that they can't tell because you have nothing to base that history on.
Yep.
Yeah. Why does that happen? Jesse, why does that happen?
Nobody
knows.
There you go.
Hey, would you like my
Like, let's go. We gotta shoot
psychological
Jesse the little
consumerism
cheat
answer?
notes.
I know. I guess so. All right, Jesse, you're up, man. What's
Well,
another financial inconsistency George Washington and company might have foreseen?
So the one that I thought of is that, we're going to have a certain cohort of laborers who aren't going to be paid by their employers, but instead their employers are going to be allowed to underpay them so that customers can make up the difference. And I'm talking about tipping.
Tipping.
And I know this sounds a lot like the opening scene of what's that one? Is it Reservoir Dogs? I think that Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
Where
so good.
Steve Buscemi's character, Mr. Pink, whoever, doesn't want to tip.
So
But
good.
yes, a tipping, I get it, and I do tip, and I try to tip well because I understand these people are working for tips. But man, I do not understand tipping culture.
In America, because in
Correct.
Paris, in France, they pay their people well, and they don't look for your tip.
We were in Greece, and they said that you can tip, but they also were sure to let you know that people there get paid a living wage.
Yes, same thing in Paris. Told us
Yeah.
the same thing. Yep.
Yeah. All right, Doug, you got the last one. What's another George Washington financial inconsistency?
I guess, this just happened to me not too long ago. So it occurred to me that nickels are worthless. Sure, you want to buy a gumball, they'll take them, but try to pay your car payment with nickels. Suddenly they're worthless. Nobody wants them.
And why is that, Jesse?
Nobody knows.
There you go.
And Steve, you can just bring it down right there. We're done. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. YouTube contributors hang out for just 1 second, but we'll see everybody next week. If you're in the US, have a great holiday weekend. If you're not, have a great weekend.